The biggest transformation happened when I bought my first and only house. And I was 22 years of age. Yeah, biggest mistake of my life. More money doesn't mean less problems. More money actually means more money problems if you have not known how to solve the problem. I am not a news agency. I'm not a social media content creator. We generally think we are struggling with money, but the root cause of that is not because you've got bad decisions with money. See, meaningful wealth really is created in decades. The problem is not knowledge. It's overload of information. And it was at that time something told me like, this cannot be right. People cannot be losing money. There's that analogy, a dog that's sitting at the entrance of the door where there's a small nail that's pricking, but it's not paining him enough. Therefore, he's whining, but he's still taking the pain. Money, unfortunately, is just that.
Welcome to the business series by Canvas and Couch, where we explore the stories, industries, and business thinking shaping modern entrepreneurship. This show is about understanding how different industries really work beyond surface level success. And today, we're decoding one of the most important yet misunderstood industries of all: personal finance and wealth behavior. Today's generation is earning more than ever before, but also feeling more financially confused than ever before. Founders are building businesses but not personal wealth. Professionals are making good money but still feeling financially anxious. And social media has made financial advice extremely accessible. But is it always reliable? Yep. So today's conversation is not just about money, it's about behavior, decision making, and what it actually takes to build long-term financial stability. Joining me today is Sharath Mascarenhas, founder of MishMash Finserve, and someone who works closely with founders, professionals, and entrepreneurial families as a long-term wealth strategist. What stood out to me while researching Sharath is that his clients don't just talk about investments, they talk about clarity, trust, and confidence around money. And I think that's a very interesting lens to explore today. Hi Sharath, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Sharat, before we get into wealth and investing, I'd like to understand your journey first.
Okay.
What made you get into this line of work?
Well, life, University of Hard Knocks. My journey began when I got the results of my 12th standard. I failed in 2 subjects, maths and science. And that was the day I got to know how many relatives we have at home, right? I had to listen to this constant tape recorder from my mom. See, I told you to study. If you would have studied, now look at that child, look at this child, non-stop. And, this was early 2001. This was the time when call centers was the thing to do. And fortunately, because of my education and, we were speaking English back at home, I managed to get a job at 19 years. I chose to take the job just so that I don't have to listen to this audio playing back at home on a daily basis, right? So I'm doing my supplies, preparing for my supplies, doing my graduation. So studying full time in the morning, working in the nights, and I'm not sure what to do with the money, right? So money is coming in on a month-on-month basis, and I had no commitments, right? So fortunately for me, I had all the money that I made was just for me. And my wife today, back then my girlfriend, absolutely zero in maintenance. So I had all the money that I could actually save. And back then, with all of this I was making, with my night shifts, with my incentives, everything put together, I was making about 22,000 rupees per month. Now, today, that might be pennies, but back then it was royalty. I mean, with absolute no expense. The only expense that I had was a Hero Splendor that I had to fill fuel in, and my Nokia 3315.
Okay.
No social life, nothing at all, just keeping to myself. All of this went on for another good 16, 18 months, I think, till my HR comes to me and says, okay, Sharath, it's time that you need to show some investments. And I have no idea about what to do. So I had to say, okay, we've got to get some form of investment being done. And guess whom did I take the first financial advice from?
Your father?
My college friend, because he was reading the Economic Times. And I thought he's probably smarter because who reads the Economic Times, right?
At university days, yeah.
Yeah. And I said, okay. And this friend of mine, I knew him because he was an insurance agent part-time. So I thought he probably knows more about money than I, because I didn't know much. And everything that my mom and dad would talk about money was generally that money is evil, money is the root cause of all problem. And the middle class family talk that we generally have when you're not, when you don't talk about money, when you don't study about money too well. And when I took the plan, all that I was concerned was, am I getting my tax benefits? Is my name, email ID, and phone number, all of this good? I didn't go past the second page to study and understand where I'm putting my money, what am I doing. Now imagine 24,000, 25,000-ish, 60% of that getting saved into 2 different insurance policies, not knowing what's happening with the money. 2 years later, I go past the first page and try to understand what's happening. And I understood who's making the money and who's losing the money. Okay. In fact, this was at the space when the markets were probably at the best, bull runs. This was 2004. And I'm still down 30% from my investment. And I'm talking to my mom and saying, you know what, this has happened. So she's like, so what? Everybody's losing money. And it was at that time something told me like, this cannot be right. People cannot be losing money. And I don't know how, till this day, there's this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that got in the house. I do not know how, because that was the only non-scholastic book that I looked at. I think I read this around the 2 a.m. mark. And I read it cover to cover just because in the first page, right at the start, Robert Kiyosaki says, you don't need to be a grade A student to do well in finances. And I read through it like, I was addicted. And started understanding concepts. And you need to understand that I'm the youngest in my team. I think 19 or 20 odd. And people are asking, okay, Sharat, what you're doing and things of that sort. Because for me, the biggest transformation happened when I bought my first and only house. And I was 22 years of age.
Wow.
Yeah. Biggest mistake of my life.
Oh.
Because I bought this not for the right reasons.
Right.
I bought this to impress my then-to-be father-in-law.
Okay.
And now who is. To make it a point to let him know that, hey, you're not giving your daughter's hand in marriage. I'm earning it.
Right.
Again, after 2-3 years, I realized who's making the money, who's losing the money, EMIs and things of that sort, right? Now, in this entire phase, because when I'm talking about money matters to my colleagues, they're like, Sharath, you should be doing this full time. You seem to make this very, very simple. I was like, in the book again, he says, a full-time job is great, but always try to build something on the side.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, hey, the market's speaking. Why don't I try? Now, the problem is what? I didn't know any better. Right. And see, this is not the time when, you have the bandwagon of mutual funds sahi hai, and there's so much of, information out there. This is the time when we are talking internet, not even 2.0. We're talking about internet 1.0, where you have to still do so much of research and there's no information available. Now, I said, you know what? I took this investment. Let me become an investment advisor myself. Obviously not an investment. I took my life insurance advisory. I got my license, and I think in my first month, I closed the insurance plan of 42,800 rupees. I still remember that.
Nice.
Now, this is from a rejected database.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, you know what? 22 days of work, night shift, travel, food coupons, talking non-stop. And I make 24,000. A couple of calls.
Okay.
And now I'm making 42,800. Right. What do you think I'm thinking?
Obviously a pivot. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The problem is I have my home loans.
Right. Right.
And then I realized it's not the money that we're making, because one thing led to another, and I did my mutual fund license. In 2008 happened, and you're like, what happened? How can people end up losing money? Because this was the time when people lost about 40, 50, 60% of their entire investments. And I was like, how can something as good, such good instrument, end up resulting in losses for people? 2008, I just stopped doing what I was doing. I was just focusing on work and started reading a little more. That's when I come to an understanding of what goal-based financial advisory is. Okay. Why you need to have a holistic approach as compared to a product-centric approach and just chasing returns, chasing the next shiny object, right? Think in decades as against thinking in just next 1 or 2 years, because you're not saving for today. You're building next tech for like next 20, 30, sometimes 40 years.
Right.
And that can only happen when you've got years of compounding available and not something for the next short term. Then 2009 is when Ferdinand Wealth Management was born. Today, the name is on a different avatar, but that's my journey.
Got it. So mutual funds are subject to market risks, essentially. But
Mutual
then
funds, that's the nice disclaimer, but I
Yeah.
think it's more subject to market, to investor behavior.
also it's the long-term thinking that's the win,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That's what we're getting at here.
I'm talking about having a holistic approach.
Yeah.
You have different means of transportation.
Yeah.
Not that you need to take an airline, because if I have to go from your studio
Yeah.
to back home, which is in Bangalore City, I'm not going to take the airline, even though it's the fastest, because that means of transportation is not the best way to get to the destination that I want to.
Right.
So it's not just mutual funds; it's all form of investments
Yeah.
that you need to be cautious about and see if it's in line with what is it that I need.
Got it. So you then call yourself a family CFO. In our pre-alignment calls, you said, you're framing yourself as a family CFO.
That's
Can
right.
you please explain what that terminology is?
Mhm.
What is it synonymous with?
Okay, so have you observed affluent families, right? Real wealthy families. You have a financial doctor. You have your family doctor.
Hmm.
You have your family CFO. Sorry, a family chartered accountant.
Right.
You also have a lawyer.
Right.
Why not a family financial advisor? Because what we're trying to do here, in all these aspects, these professions may probably be very helpful when there is some problem that you've had in respect to their professions.
Right.
But a family CFO, or let's say a family financial advisor, is someone who protects and keeps you away from all these problems far before even these things happen.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, just like good health, we know there are certain things to good health. We also know that we have to eat healthy, eat clean, go to the gym, work out. These are all good habits for good health.
Yeah.
But when do we appreciate good health? Only when it's taken a beating.
Something.
And
is wrong.
unfortunately, there's the same thing that happens with money as well.
Okay.
The idea is, I want to tell my families, you need to have someone whom you can fall back on to get unbiased, professional, second opinion guidance that you can fall back on. Right? If you're going to be someone who's just going to be searching off the internet and now say, okay, let me try something. You don't try marriages, do you? You don't try producing kids. It's a responsibility for life. Same goes with money.
Okay.
And if you're going to be sticking with this, say, some advice coming from your banker, some advice coming from the internet, something coming from financial influencers, then something coming from parents, your friends, it's not going to stick out. You're going to kick the can down the road for a little longer.
Yeah.
But eventually, it's going to get painful. So the idea, look for someone whom you can fall back on, whom you can trust with. Like one of the things that I have in my possession every time that I have to move homes is the wills of my families. I've got 11 wills of different families. So in case something happens, that's with me. I need to execute it, right? And that's the kind of trust that we're talking. And I'm not saying it's just me. I'm sure there are quite a few of them. But for the large populace that we have in our country, we need many more people like us.
Now, that was actually coming to one of my next questions. When you said, why doesn't anyone have a family CFO? Why don't you have? It's a largely trust exercise.
Yes.
Okay. It's fairly easier to expose your medical reports to a family doctor.
That's correct.
Than your financial statements to a supposed third-party advisor.
That's
now,
correct.
How do you approach trust? What do you do in terms of bringing the family on board? You also said you have a spousal advisory sort of a rule, more or less. Can you elaborate on that, please?
So to tackle that, I'm not sure what advice I can give to the audience as such, but what worked for me really well during these days when I'm still building my practice, I read this book called Instant Referrals. And the author talks about how to build an entire business completely based on referrals. And at that point in time, I was damn scared because first of all, I'm not making enough. And now to say that I'm only going to be taking a business through referrals was a huge step because, you're doing everything that is everything against what is told to you. You need to have a marketing plan. You need to have a strategy. It's a simple strategy. Let the good work talk. And then obviously you got to position it in a manner. You got to mention this. But coming back to the trust aspect, See, the challenge with finances, right? It doesn't speak. Money, bad decisions with money doesn't speak.
Mm.
Like if your child is in pain, the child will cry, there's a problem.
Okay.
The child will complain.
Right.
Money doesn't speak. But when it speaks the loudest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, you're already, if not 5 years, if not more, at least 5 years behind.
Okay.
And by then you've got quite a few troubles already. That might show up in too many EMIs. That might seem in too much of stress. Whenever you're talking about money, it just causes too much of anxiety.
Okay.
And all of these are outcomes of some deep-rooted problems that have done because of 5, 7, 6 years of not handling money too well. Now, money, we don't proactively look for it because it doesn't hurt you as much at the start.
Right.
Today, I know that I need to make sure my money is optimized. The money sitting down in my bank account. I know I'm busy. There is a couple of lakhs there. Can it be better if I just put it in a temporary FD? I have so many of my families, when they come to me for the first time, they're like, I've got a couple of tens of lakhs sitting down in the savings account.
Right.
And like, why wouldn't you put it in a temporary FD?
Yeah.
I guess it's too busy.
Yeah.
I mean, how long does it take? 30 seconds. But it's not become so painful. There's that analogy, a dog that's sitting at the at the entrance of the door, where there's a small nail that's pricking, but it's not paining him enough. Therefore, he's whining, but he's still taking the pain.
Okay.
Right? Money, unfortunately, is just that. When we're talking about why don't I look for professional help, most of them would have looked at taking advice or help from a friend, colleague, someone who had to sell a financial product. And unfortunately, that ended up getting into a loss. And because once bitten, twice shy, we're like, probably everybody's just like this. So why bother? I'll try to figure this out by myself.
Okay.
I'll do this month, this year, next year, and next year turns to decade,
Right.
unless it becomes as painful.
Yeah. So, I mean, time is, of course, crucial and an important aspect. But do you also think it's financial education and being informed correctly is also a limitation? I mean, we have high earners now, of course. The salary potential or even the earning potential has dramatically gone up in the last 10 or 15 years. But has the financial education lived up to the same growth? Has it?
Let me ask you a question. Do you think knowledge is power?
Of course, 100%. No?
Applied knowledge is power.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
The reason is, today, the problem is not knowledge. It's overload of information.
Right.
Hazar people telling you do this, do that. You are not short of information. Open any social media, right? Tons of people telling you what needs to be done. And if you're not informed, everything seems right. And if you're informed, now you have a FOMO. Right? So what I'm trying to get at is, you need information in terms of, once you understand that this is what is required, after that, now you should have an action plan. Put that information into action. Start working on those things that are going to progress, that are going to take you in the right direction. The challenge today is, you got some information, scroll on, okay, this is also nice, this is also nice, and this is also nice. When are you going to implement it? Again, this week, probably this month. No, I'm just too busy. 1 year goes by, a decade goes by, and that's that.
But are these decisions completely logical and information driven, or is emotional also when it comes to money?
You got a very valid point. And unfortunately, everything that is important to us, we tend to do it emotionally.
Right.
And this is where the family advisor I was talking to you about, because he or she understands how you think. They understand your emotions. But hey, you know what? I understand what you're saying. You may want to look at it these ways. So another important aspect of why you need someone like this is because at your stage, you're probably not used to hearing no.
Okay.
If you're a successful professional, if you're a successful business owner, and you're earning well, you're doing well in life, chances are that you're not used to hearing a no. So very rarely do you have families who are coachable,
Okay.
right? And if you are okay and you're mature enough to understand that, you know what, I know this is an emotional decision. Let me just think practically a little, weigh the pros and cons. And hey, after some time, you can absolutely take a logical, you can take an emotional decision, but are you ready to pay the price? Because every decision that you do will have to be, a price has to be paid. If you're okay paying the price, then why not?
Okay. Is that reason linked to why you always consult the spouse as well? You said you absolutely do not take
Yes.
one part of a couple.
Uh-huh.
It has to be both.
Right.
I was quite fascinated by that thinking.
Are you sure you're fascinated?
Intrigued. Intrigued.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So this is again some learning that I had in my initial days of working with families, right?
Right.
I was like, hey, I'm getting a customer, then why not? Let's begin working. 3 years, 4 years. Because see, my style of working with families was very, it was very conversational, right? We're not talking about transactions. We're not talking about tell me how much money you want and then let's invest. I would ask them questions in terms of why we're doing this. What's your aspiration? Do you have any challenges right now? What stopped you? Why now? You know, I want to know the why. Because if I understand the why, the logic becomes easier.
Okay.
Right? I'm addressing the logic not from numbers standpoint, but I'm addressing the logic from the concerns he has because of the why.
Right.
Now, going back to my earlier days, successfully we would manage to get this person to save, let's say if the net worth, they started with, let's say a 10 lakh, I would get them to save about 1 crore in 3-4 years because of the good. See, bulk of my work is to put in a structure of a framework. After that, then it becomes easy, right? Because now it's a snowball effect.
Okay.
Every year they end up investing and saving up more money. They're not cutting down on lifestyle, by the way. It's just that now it's purposeful. And then after 3-4 years, when you see this, I would have mostly men telling their wives, hey, you know what? We've saved this amount of money. And the women, okay, great. Let's buy a house. Now, I know when you're buying homes, generally 9 out of 10 times you're going backwards.
Okay.
Because we're just thinking about, hey, I've got security. No, there's many more expenses, and we're not going to get into that discussion for now.
Yeah.
But I'll give you the reason why this was important. For women generally, financial security comes from touch and feel.
Right.
Like for example, gold. I can touch the gold.
Okay.
I can see real estate. I can see how the house looks.
Right.
Right? The rooms, this is how I can visualize. I can visualize numbers on some statement.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Money in the FD. It's not volatile, secure, coming in. I'm not going through that, the ECG. And then no matter how much sense, how logical I would talk to the husband, who is the home minister at home. And the money gets washed out.
Okay.
Right? Now, forget the money going in. Now you're further in debt because obviously the money that you've saved up is not to buy the house cash down.
Right.
You saved up to pay sufficient enough that you're not paying too much in EMIs. Yeah. But what you don't realize is that now you have to buy a car that goes along with the house.
Right.
Now you've got to buy furniture that goes along with the house. Why? Because this is my dream house. Right? And now 10 years go by and you're restarting everything all over again.
So the initial planning on the numbers dramatically changes.
Not just that. See, you need to, women, unfortunately, there's a saying, Gar ki murgi dal barabar. Right? We generally know the flaws of our family members and we know their flaws and their strengths.
Right.
So typically, women are operating from this mindset that I need to save, I need to conserve, I need to see, I can protect. Men are looking from how do I grow? How can I make this fast? How can I create wealth? Now, the upbringing that a woman has had during her childhood in her family and the upbringing that the husband has had when he was growing up, if these conversations are different, now we have a tremendous amount of problem. There's humongous amount of misalignment, right? My purpose of having the spouse involved is to see what is important to her.
Okay.
And we make notes of this.
Okay.
Because when such decision comes
Yeah.
about markets being volatile, should I pull out my money? Then we have this conversation.
Yeah.
Now the why. But if the same thing was told by the spouse, hey, you know what? Whatever you say, I don't care. This is what it is.
But that brings a nice balance, no? If one is very
And that is
risk
exactly
forward and the other is very security driven.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we need both of them.
Correct.
Because if I were to talk to someone who's very aggressive, who's very conservative, and imagine what the spouse is also thinking, hey, you know what? You're not getting me involved in this conversation.
Right.
How do I know what this guy is saying?
Right.
Because, I mean, we always have that information dilution, right?
Right.
Now, imagine if I told you something and you were to tell this to your spouse, friend, whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's not going to come up with the same impact. It's going to get diluted,
Got it.
right? And ever since we've done that, what has ended up happening is the money stays in for a longer time.
Okay.
And obviously, more money my audience makes, more money I make.
Okay.
And that's why the thought process in terms of decades, because see, meaningful wealth
Yeah.
really is created in decades. You can make money, you can lose money in the short term.
Yeah.
But the power of compounding, like we talk, right? You put this on a calculator, put it on a spreadsheet. You see what there's a magic that happens once you pass the 10th year. Now you're talking about money doubling, and it is unbelievable. But
Right.
problem is we are not used to thinking in decades.
You're saying when there's a compounding element to it.
That is right.
Yeah.
When you have time.
Yeah.
And the magic number there is 10 years.
10, is it?
8, 10 years. I can't explain. And that's why, right?
Okay.
I think Albert Einstein said this. Those who understand power of compounding make tremendous amount of wealth. And those who don't end up struggling.
Right.
That's that.
Okay. So, but you do also mention that in one of our earlier chats,
Uh-huh.
the bulk of your audience is in the mid 50s and early
Mid-40s,
Sorry,
yes.
mid 40s and early 50s.
Yes.
Is there a reasoning behind that?
Like I just said a little while earlier, right? When is a good time to start being prudent about money? The minute you start earning.
Right.
But when do you start paying attention and focus?
Few years into it, I would say, yeah.
Generally, when things are completely, you're like, see, when you're doing well, when you're earning well, right? A lot of your, let's say, inefficiencies are hidden because of the high income that you're making.
Okay.
Right? Okay, no big deal. If I don't save my money and if I don't put my money from my savings account to an FD and earn that extra 2% or 3%, what am I losing? No big deal. Right? How much am I going to lose with that 1 extra lakh going out on vacation or 2 extra lakhs going out on vacation in a year? What is it going to matter if I take a car on a loan, which is, I could do 40 or I could do 50,000. All of this just adding up. And like we just said, power of compounding, it works on both assets and liabilities.
Okay.
Decisions that are supposed to be done today, but you do it after 10 years.
Okay.
And that's exactly, by the time you're 40,
Yeah.
you have a couple of loans. Not couple, in fact, couple of home loans, couple of car loans.
Okay.
Your life is in financial turmoil. It's, it's all over the place. And for most people, when they're coming to me at that time, they're like, I just need some help me get rid of this because there's a little bit of money in cryptos. There's a little bit of money here. I've done some kind of stock investment here, that platform.
Okay.
And it's all over the place, like I was just saying. So the idea is you want clarity, you want peace of mind. And at that point in time, when you have lost all hope, I come to you and say, it's not all lost. Let's start with baby steps. Let's clean up this mess. And now let's start adding more money. That information is most receptive when you're deep in trouble.
Okay. So mid 40s, early 50s.
Before that, just like the doctors, I'm in good health now. It's okay. I can binge eat. I can binge watch.
Got it.
I can do a lot of
Similar concept. Okay. Got it.
absolutely.
Makes sense with the analogy.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, is this sort of thinking and the solutioning you offer, is it similar to all professionals, like entrepreneurs, salaried professionals, actors, athletes, or is there a different thinking and solutioning that you
Nice.
sort of position?
I like the question. So,
Yeah.
like I was just saying a little while back, right? The why. We generally think we are struggling with money, but the root cause of that is not because you've got bad decisions with money. It's your profession. Now, let's talk about doctors. What challenges do doctors face? Doctors have to study a minimum 5 to 7 years more than any other profession. And they're constantly having to upgrade themselves,
Yeah.
right? Student debt,
Right.
very expensive course. Now you're earning money, but bulk of it is going in paying off EMIs, right? And your social pressure of, okay, now listen, you're already in the 30s. When are you going to get your house? When are you going to get your car? Da, 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 da.
Right.
And this constant stress, you're working 12, 14, 15, 16 hours sometimes. And then there's this financial stress, right? So what's the root cause? No time.
Okay.
Having to study more. Already stood in debt. So the
Right.
idea is, let me get debt free, and let me start my own practice. Let me earn more. But the more, there's only so many patients you can take a look at.
Yeah.
Right? So now that's the challenge with doctors. Let's talk about which other profession would you like to talk about? Let's say business owners.
Yeah.
This is a nice one. Business owners do something fundamentally wrong, which is what?
You invest in the business and not in yourself.
Well, that's second.
Is that?
That's absolutely one,
that-
right?
Yeah.
Because see, all of us think that's my business. It's my baby.
Yeah.
I will give it my all.
Yeah.
But we all know the numbers. How many businesses actually make it past 5 years?
Right.
And of the ones that have completed 5 years, how many of them even continue to 10 years? But we work, we do all our decisions about money like it's going to last forever. But the even bigger mistake before that is you take financial advice from your chartered accountants.
Okay.
Right? So what's the problem there? This is like saying you have a skin problem. So whom am I supposed to go to? Dermatologist.
Yeah.
But I'll go to a dentist.
Okay.
What's the big deal? Both are doctors.
Mm.
A chartered accountant is by qualification learned how to manage your books, handle compliances, statutory guidelines, all of those things, right? The finance aspect of it, of the business, not of your personal finances.
Right.
Personal finances, you have other professions. You have a CFP, like what I've done, a QPFP, right? These are skill sets required to know about different investing instruments, not just tax mitigation or tax optimization. It's one small aspect. And like this, we have every profession, every profile that you're looking at has a fundamental issue because of their profile. And postponing that eventually ends up in the same kind of outcome, which is what? We struggle with money, irrespective of the income that we make.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
So you have different solution.
See, it's the why. Once you understand what's the trouble, and they need to realize this.
Got it.
Right? When you're talking about actors, bulk of them, when they don't get work. See, today you and I run a business. I'm sure you're doing quite well as well. And you can project your income. There's some bit of sanity. Every month there is a certain amount of cash flows coming in. But what about actors who get paid per projects? First of all, when you're struggling, you do not know where the money is going to come from.
Right.
You're going to places that you cannot afford. You're spending on things that you cannot afford because you got to network.
There is a image and a persona to
Absolutely.
uphold as well.
All
right?
of this is in
correct
borrowed
That's
money,
cost
right?
money. Yeah.
And then one day things click. And you're like, okay, now before the money is even banked, you're already thinking of all the ways that you can spend the money.
Right.
You're of the opinion that this is going to happen non-stop. But what if you don't get your next break? And all of this is happening in one shot. This is not that it's spaced out. Yeah. It might be probably you get 50% on signing and 50% after the movie, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the idea is it's not consistent.
Right.
It might be 3, 4, 5 years before you get your next project.
Right.
And how do you manage the cash flows till then?
Okay.
Right? So it's one thing to manage your career. And it's another thing altogether to manage your money.
Okay. Got it. So you also mentioned to me earlier, and I'm making a lot of reference to our previous conversations because there's been several back and forth.
Right.
You did mention that you don't just preach, but you also have skin in the game. Please elaborate again.
Okay. I'll give the same health analogy. Okay. Now, if I had to build mass, or if I had to be physically fit, right? If I had to train for the marathons, who do you think I should? What qualities would I look at from my trainer? They should have at least run one.
Know how to do it, or
precisely
themselves.
Correct.
Yeah.
Why should someone trust me with their money?
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, if I tell you that this is my portfolio, what I'm recommending is what I've already gotten invested in.
Okay.
Does that give you some set of confidence in terms of, okay, this is the guy whom I'm considering to be a family financial advisor, family CFO, whatever it is, right? He's preaching what he practices.
Yeah.
Sorry, he practices
Practicing
what he's
what you-
preaching, right?
Right.
Would that add confidence to you? Whether you understood it or not, that's a different story. But you can only fake it so many times, right? Now, if I'm going to be telling you that you need to have certain amount of money, certain amount of insurance coverage,
Right.
and I tell you, here's my portfolio. This is the amount of coverage that I've got. You need to have a critical insurance.
Hmm.
And now you're seeing the rationale behind it. And I'm not just doing it to you. See, the idea is when you asked, a little while back, you were talking about a reference only practice.
Hmm.
I mean, imagine financial success is different for different people, right?
Right.
For some families, the very fact that the spouses could talk about money matters without ending up into an argument itself is financial progress. Now, when they are talking to their friends and family, you know what? For the first time, we didn't fight because we spoke to this guy. That's all.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all of us are looking at financial success to be a percentage. There's so much returns. I mean, what can Sharat do if the market is correcting? If Trump today decides that we are going to bomb Iran, I can't do anything about the markets. There's no way that you can protect. I mean, long-term wealth is created in equities in proper asset allocation. And if there's significant amount of your money in those asset classes that's going to get affected because of geopolitics, it is going to. But we need to know, we need to be aware, we need to be informed, we need to take educated decisions. And that's what I do for my portfolio as well. So my idea about having skin in the game is practice what you preach.
Okay.
I think then it becomes that much more easier. Will it convey the point completely? But at least the friction, at least the first step becomes that much more easier.
Correct. So then when you say, one has to be educated about the geopolitical shifts, the market dynamics, is there mechanisms where you educate your clients? Do you send newsletters? Are there seminars?
No, I
workshops?
save them the trouble.
Okay.
I don't tell them about anything and everything that they need to know.
Yeah.
Is told to them only when it affects their portfolio. I am not a news agency.
Okay.
I'm not a social media content creator.
Okay.
I'm someone who's got to give peace of mind to my clientele.
Okay.
So the communication is very clear. You will get to know, you will get to hear from me proactively if there's any change required in your portfolio, because I'm checking my portfolio myself, right? And we have a model portfolio that we keep taking on a daily basis. Why do you need to break it? I mean, yes, you're consuming content anyways. I mean, imagine one day the market falls down by 2%, then the headlines is trillions of rupees lost of the market, like my trillion. I mean, look at the sensationalization, right?
Right.
I don't want to get involved in that. How does it matter?
Okay.
$1 trillion are gone, $1 trillion are made. I have put only a couple of crores. What has happened to my portfolio? You get instant access. Take a look and see. By the way, you don't need to, but can you? Absolutely, yes. Take a look, but don't get emotionally perturbed with it.
Got it.
That is the messaging that goes out. So the idea is, before you put your money into anything, my requirement for them is to learn about them. I educate them to it. I tell them about the pros and cons. And I tell them specifically that, hey, if you're doing this, this is the time. And all of this is in black and white.
Got it.
Because I'm not sure if you remember, I mentioned that all of our calls happen on Zoom only, video recorded.
Okay.
Because generally, if you're meeting up like this in person and there's no record, you'll say, hey, Sharat, I trust you completely. And then when a situation like 2020 happens, where suddenly in a month, 40% of your portfolio is wiped out, all the trust levels start diluting.
Okay.
We then think, oh, when you have all of these documented, it becomes easier. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be at least easier.
Okay.
As against not knowing, not being informed, and not being at least educated about it. So I'm not talking about being, I'm not talking about you becoming a PhD in this, but at least have surface level knowledge so that it helps you make better informed decisions.
Right.
So
India's been going through a massive financial shift, right? There's been
you're referring from an income level?
Income level.
Okay.
Startup wealth, ESOPs, higher salaried incomes, global income. And even like younger investors for that matter.
Content creators.
Content creators. Yes, absolutely. So how do you see the wealth behavior changing today?
Are you talking from a generation standpoint, or are you talking from a overall?
Overall, has just this, the income levels going up, has that translated in wealth levels going up?
Not really. More money doesn't mean less problems. More money actually means more money problems if you have not known how to solve the problem.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now imagine, today you have X amount of money in your bank.
Yeah.
And obviously we are having certain challenges. What happens if you compound it with more money?
Hmm.
It just amplifies your situation, which means if you are a spendthrift, you'll be
Spending
more,
more. Yeah.
absolutely. If you're tight-fisted, you'll be even more tight-fisted with more money coming in.
Right.
But what we need to understand is with this amount of money coming in, what are my aspirations? What do I want to accomplish? What do I want to be known for? Is there a legacy that I'm going to be giving? That unfortunately doesn't come with more money. That comes with clarity.
Okay.
And again, you need to have these discussions with people
Yeah.
who appreciate the same and not random.
Got it.
Conscious.
Okay.
Right.
We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. But do you think like what opportunities are people missing
Mhm.
without this clarity and with a lack of structure?
It doesn't show up right at the start.
Okay.
It shows up, after 10, sometimes 15 years of investing, because it's all very random, right? I imagine if I told you what happened if you didn't spend enough time with the child, the child's upbringing.
Hmm.
The child will continue to grow, no problem. You're providing well and things, but you've not invested time with the child.
Okay.
So you miss out on so many things that could actually shape and mold the person's career.
Right.
Same goes with the money as well, right?
Right.
If I'm not doing things in an optimized manner,
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, I just met a doctor family.
Yeah.
There were 7 income sources.
Okay.
7.
Okay.
And the challenge with them is in terms of how to tax optimize themselves, because
Huh.
one form of income is coming tax deducted.
Okay.
One is coming with the GST component. One is coming with TDS component.
Okay.
And all of this is coming in different bank accounts. They just don't know how to have this optimized, because bulk of this money is sitting down idle just to go make sure that you are paying advance taxes on time.
Okay.
So they are not looking for better returns. They're just looking for better clarity in terms of how I can minimize my tax outflow.
Okay.
Right? So the idea is when you are not being optimized, when you are being intentional about money,
Yeah.
it is affecting in areas that who knows, it might just show up in the future. For like one of the biggest comments that I get after working with couple of months into our relationship with working with families, I wish I had met you 10 years ago. But I'm very sure 10 years ago, if you would have known me and this was not such a tearing problem for you,
Yeah.
like, no big deal. I've got my time. I've got so many years of it. I have one of my clients, I'm not going to mention, but she was in the audience of a workshop that I was doing at a hotel.
Okay.
This was the year 2017,
Yeah.
right? And at the workshop, yeah, Sharat, all makes sense. And hoteliers, as you know, if you're working in a managed property, they're generally for no more than 2 years in the same property. You keep moving around. When did she actually become a client? In 2022.
Okay.
5 years.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for things to fall in place.
Right.
I hope that answers the question.
Right. Got it. Okay.
Right. So
Okay.
it's
That makes sense, yeah.
invisible, but it could play on so many things. I mean, if you could be very intentional about your money, and let's say you saved 2 extra working years, not that you don't like your work, but now you have a choice that you can retire 2 years early.
Okay.
Would you like that?
Yeah. Why not?
5 years of doing intentional planning around money,
Yeah.
and now trying to change your career midway, and doing what you love to do, even though if it pays half of what it pays currently,
You can.
would you
take
like that
up.
option?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah.
So these are the things we're missing out when you don't put your money to work as hard as you're working.
So what are the say 10 years before retiring? What are the common mistakes people make?
You're acting on we generally take decisions based out of fear, anxiety. Am I saving enough? Is there something that I can do for lost time? Right? Today my expenses are so much. How much is it going to be after 10 years? Can I support this?
Okay.
So all these thoughts are more fear-based, anxiety-driven. And needless to mention, like we just discussed a little while back, you take any decision based on emotions, chances are we'll not take the right decisions, right?
Yeah.
We are sold fear. Now imagine if I go with this fear and I go and talk to a banker, I've just got 10 years, what do you think? You don't have, the bankers are good sales guys, right? The banks invest tremendous amount of money in that sales skill set.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, don't worry, everything is sorted. Put in so much amount of money. This much amount of money is going to come. Certainty, They're selling the certainty. But is that the best alternative? I mean, I know so many high-profile folks, accomplished guys, financially very accomplished, right? Doing very well in their careers. You walk into a bank, you get to see, your net worth, and you're not playing the percentage game. You're playing the certainty. Now imagine if I'm taking an investment insurance, insurance investment, an insurance investment that is return driven and not risk driven. You can make no more than 7%. If it's not linked to the markets, 7%. I don't need to be waiting 10, 15 years with 7%. I can do that with an FD.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
But now when you start being intent, when you start paying attention to not just the quantum of money that is going to be coming in, right? But how much percentage you're earning.
Right.
That makes all the difference. So yes, to put it very simply, at least the folks that I've been interacting with, this is a common thing. We're taking decisions mainly based on fear, chaos, anxiety.
Okay. So let's say there's a section of people who are aware of everything you're saying. We'll call them the wealthy.
Financially informed.
Financially informed or wealthy.
Yeah.
So is there a what do you think separates the wealthy from the high earners? Is there a distinction?
The wealthy were intentional. They didn't get wealthy overnight. Most of them. Right? It is, if not decades, it is years of disciplined approach to money. Right? Handling the couple of hundreds, then the couple of tens of thousands, then the couple of tens of lakhs, and then now the crores. Because good habits compound.
Yeah.
There's a saying, right? More money begets more money. Right? So when you get that, when you've learned the discipline to handle small amounts of money, when more money comes in, you're more disciplined and you now start getting to invest in instruments that can possibly compound your wealth a little faster.
Got it.
You become what they call an accredited investor.
Got it.
But high earners need not be necessarily wealthy.
Okay.
They're earning high, their debts could be even higher.
Right.
They're earning high, they might not be saving as much. You'll be surprised to see if you actually check your cash flows, right? If you look at the income and expense, very few people are even saving 10% of what they make. 10.
Okay.
Right? So that's the standout difference between wealthy and high income earners.
Okay. So according to you, what does financial maturity look like?
If you can take decisions on money without being emotional, or at least curtail your emotions. Like for example, you've been going out for a lot of family events and you're looking at beautiful houses. And in your plan, it is very clear that you cannot afford a new home for the next 5 years.
Okay.
Right? And every time you're going to a new home and you're like, damn, I think we can do this. You're not prepared. You know it's going to affect.
Okay.
And when you still can let go of that emotion, because you know these numbers are not making sense, you're going to go backwards at least 5 years, if not more. That's financial maturity. And that's not just with the house, with any expense, car, vacations, right? It is difficult. So is every meaningful thing in life, right? If you have to be productive, if you got to get the best out of your day, what time do you wake up? You have to get up at 5 a.m. You can't get up at 7 a.m. and then have a productive life. So that's the thing with money as well.
Okay. The discipline.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So we have a bit of a rapid fire towards the end. Yeah. One financial habit every founder should build.
Separate personal finances from business finance.
Okay. What's the biggest wealth myth?
That I have one magical instrument, and if I just put my money in here, all my financial worries will disappear.
Okay. Long-term wealth or fast money?
Without a doubt, long-term wealth, obviously. It's painful, but long-term wealth.
Okay. What's one common thing people misunderstand about investing?
That you can do all of this by yourself without any professional guidance.
Okay. Is there a financial red flag that you notice immediately?
This is tricky. Notice with whom?
Maybe like a financial statement that you see.
That's tricky. But let's say if I'm working with, let's say coaches, right? You might be an executive coach, and you're coaching on different aspects to your clientele, but your financial statements don't say so much. You're earning twice, thrice, but you're not you know what? Let's make it easier. If you cannot save at least 15% of what you're making,
Okay.
you are in for trouble sooner or later.
Okay. One industry that urgently needs more financial education.
Oh, that's difficult. It's everyone here. It's everyone. But if you're talking specifically about industry, uh, there is nothing rapid about my answers right now. I would say, like I said, right? Anybody who's earning money, they need. I mean, it's up to you. If you want to do well for yourself, if you want to take good care of your family, you want to make sure you don't give them the stress that comes with mismanagement of money. It's for you, not the industry.
Okay. So finally, what does financial freedom mean to you?
The ability to make choices without having to think too much about the repercussions.
Okay.
Right? I don't need to think about the money.
Right.
I can choose to do what I want to do, when I want to do, how I want to do. And all of this is because it's intentional, not because I just want to be a rebel. I want to do this. Can I afford to quit my work right now? If the answer is yes, but I'm working just because I love to work, not because I have to work. Financial freedom.
So what opportunities are people missing if they lack the structure and discipline? So for instance, if someone were saving 1 lakh rupees a month, rather than if they're not intentionally investing it, what are they missing out on? Potential.
So I'll make this very simple because this is something that constantly happens with most of the families we work with. When they come on board with us, they're investing, they're saving, but they're not saving the most optimal number that they actually can. It's just okay, we can probably do this amount. It's not what's the word, intentional.
Okay.
So we get them to an exercise where we get them to budget and show them their income and expenses. And when they see all of this, in spite of planning out the entire expenses for the year, at a year, on a monthly basis, if you equate it, they can still save an extra 10, 15 or sometimes 20%. What is happening with this money? Nothing. Sitting down in a savings account. Now imagine, these are families who come to me and say, Sharat, I'm paying too much of taxes. Can we do something about taxes? And yet you have balances in your savings bank account, 6-7 digits, sitting down earning you just 4%.
Okay.
While that could actually, if nothing else, at least put it in an FD. You're getting 2% extra.
Okay.
Which is not just 2%, but you're making 50% extra in your income.
Okay.
On the interest that you would earn. And if you were very intentional about it, then you would have that money invested as again waiting and then saying, okay, let me do this at another date. See, you need systems. Now if this money is getting pulled out, instead of 1 lakh, and if I can give you an extra 20,000 or 20%, now it's 1,20,000.
Right.
1 lakh into 12 lakhs. 1,20,000, that's an extra 20,000 for the year. 2,40,000.
Correct.
What could you do with 2,40,000? For most people, that's a quarterly incentive after paying their taxes. Now you are making free money that is working for you for 1 year. Times that into 5.
Okay.
Next.
And it'll compound.
Let's not even get to compounding.
Yeah.
The issue here is, you just said this year you're working 1 lakh.
Right.
Next year, are you going to be making only 1 lakh or you'll be making 1 lakh?
That will also incrementally increase.
Assuming that you're in a workplace where you can, you're getting good increments and things.
Yeah.
You remember what we spoke about? Money's bad habits compounding.
Yeah.
Now you are not doing 20,000. Now you're missing out on almost 30,000 that you could do.
Right.
Second year, third year. Now suddenly what you can actually save is about 2 lakhs, but what you're saving is only 1,25,000, 1,30,000.
Right.
Now what happens with all this money getting saved? One of the three things.
Right.
If the money is large enough, or let's say, okay, then a vacation gets planned because we deserve it, right? We're working too hard. If it's a little more, then a down payment on the car comes in because we need a lifestyle upgrade.
Right.
And if the money is even more, then you put a down payment on the house. All getting you back to square one.
Okay.
And now see how this compounds over years, 1 decade.
Okay.
It's bad. So one of the things, if you simply just put a structure where you intentionally make it a point, you take it, you make your savings and push it to the maximum you can do. That alone, that one habit alone is going to help you save more than you saved over the years that you've done. Because with every increased income that you're having on a yearly basis, it's going bigger when compared to what it was a few years ago.
Okay.
And that percentage gain makes all the difference.
Trust by not making the right moves. It's a potential opportunity loss by just not making the right
Absolutely.
moves. Yeah.
See, we all tend, because we are intelligent, right?
Yeah.
You think, I can do this. I will do this. Systems always beats intelligence.
Okay.
You might be smart, you will develop the system, but there's
Right.
no point knowing the system if you don't do
Right.
and practice the system.
Applied knowledge.
That is correct.
Right. Thank you for that insightful conversation. And what I appreciate is that it's not specific to a product or a strategy, but it's a holistic approach
That's correct.
where it's long-term financial building and long-term financial security and financial freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Business Series by Canvas and Couch, make sure to subscribe, share this episode with someone building their career or business, and stay tuned for more conversations with leaders and experts across industries. See you in the next episode.